We stand all together, one voice saying yes we can. Each one, reach one till we pull ourselves up, cause we all one fam. From the rest to the block, to the Perry, to the Rock, we connect that love. Cause the people with power feel the power of the people when we stand as one.
I got you stuck off the realness. We be indigenous, you heard of us. Max Heaven, the murderer, spreading the love with the water and earth. And the stand against hate, kinda know what the purpose is. We rise, the climate is changing. Signs of the times, it's time to start praying. Pray for the world and community. Prayers are more powerful when we're in unity.
Up today, hungry for a change, new path to take, can't stay the same, it's been too long, pointing out who's right or wrong, can you hear me out, all we need is a little bit of love, take time to heal and it starts with us, hand in hand, I put my trust, in one world reunite, it's a must, hold on to hope, we can overload, we can break the code with a single note, sing out for the world to hear, that our time is now, no more for tears, I looked into my son's eyes, a new day in a new light, lift the veil and dwell so peaceful. Come together, one world, one people. What I know, we are one. What I know, no, we are one. It's who you are, it's who I am. We all bleed the same blood, yeah.
We got beautiful differences, let me give you a peek. Over 500 tribes, but we all unique. And if we could not compete to eat, nothing could beat us. Jealousy is more dangerous than diabetes. See this unity? Imagine what it looked like. You would think we would do whatever it took, right? I would do anything for this good life. We could do anything if we unite.
Young native, you are my savior. So you're rare for our inspiration. From the block to your reservation. Any color, all my relations. From the basement, worldwide invasion. Every day we're painting our faces. Fighting back but learning our language. Dancing our dances, saying our prayers.
What I know. One choice, one earth, one love, one birth. We like to live, we like to live, yeah. One people, we stand all together, one voice saying yes we can. Each one, reach one till we pull ourselves up, cause we all one fam. From the rest to the block, to the Perry, to the Rock, we connect that love. Cause the people with power feel the power of the people when we stand as one.
Good morning. That is a tough act to follow. However, let me welcome you. I'm Pat Whitfield, and I'm welcoming you to to the home of Unitarian Universalism in North Central Washington. And remember that we are one. I serve as a greeter and on the worship committee and on the board, and so I'll be your celebrant for this morning. If you are visiting, we are so glad that you are here. We welcome every person of goodwill, just as you are, whatever body you inhabit, whoever you love, whether you were born in this valley or the land beyond the Pacific, or whether you have come here out of curiosity or in search of inspiration, or to serve the cause of peace and justice, you are welcome here. And you are welcome here if you are in person or in Zoom. For folks on Zoom, your Zoom host is Owen Barnes. Let him know if you have any questions. You'll find the order of service in the chat. Now, for everyone in the building, take a moment to turn and wave at that camera above the exit sign and wave to everyone there. Remember that we are diverse. There is a lot of energy in here this morning. That's wonderful. We thrive on positive energy. Now we have our announcements. And first of all, I'd like to begin with the announcement about positions that are open here to serve and embellish our community. I think, you can see what it is on the screen. We need a Share the Plate coordinator. If you're interested, contact Nancy Warner. I saw Nancy come in. Oh, Nancy, could you stand up so everyone can see you? If you don't know Nancy, she's the person to contact. We need a building and grounds team chair. If you can take on this vital role, contact Reverend Thomas, Board President Heather Coonrod. Heather, are you here this morning? Stand up, please. Okay, that's Heather, or any other board member. All right. CUF is sponsoring an Interfaith Advocacy and Faith Action Network potluck dinner watch party next Sunday, 5 to 7:30 here in our CUF sanctuary. So I think you might find that to be a very interesting and stimulating event. If you're new to CUF, you are invited to the Newcomer Chat Sunday on November 23rd at noon. So that will be right after the end of service, and it will help you to gain more knowledge about this particular organization and Unitarian Universalism as a whole. And now a word from our auction team. Rita?
Happy anniversary to us. Happy anniversary to us. Well, hi, Ruby. Hello, darling. I was checking out all the auction items this morning and almost wore my pencil out with writing my bids. Jewelry, paintings, tickets for a hockey game, hand-knit socks, delicious dinners, owl sculptures, baskets full of delightful things, and so much more. It almost makes me swoon.
Yes, there are a lot of great things available. Everyone can keep bidding on the items that are hanging up on the walls.
For how long?
Well, next Sunday at 9 o'clock, there is a last bid continental breakfast. And you can bid until 10:15 that day. And then the auction closes before the service begins.
Oh, I may have competition for my favorite things. Oh, and when do I find out what I won and pay for all those fabulous items?
Well, after the service next week, you and everyone else can pay for all the things that you had a winning bid on. Remember to bring your cash, card, or checkbook.
You mean we are all going to be paying after the service?
Yes, so do allow for extra time.
But as an auction diva, I have a very busy social calendar. I may not be able to stay.
Well, that's okay. We can invoice you, but if you can, please stay and pay next Sunday. It saves the auction team an extra step. And you get to take your things home.
Wonderful.
Remember, everyone, bid high. Most of the auction proceeds go to our new building fund.
And bid often, except on the things that I bid on.
Oh, Ruby.
Well, I'll see you at the breakfast next week.
And now we will hear a few words from Penny Tabisca.
Well, we have an extra invitation. This is for microphone.
There? Yes, we have an extra invitation for the Hats Off to Spring. So it is going to be in the month of March. You know, March is kind of, well, it's not quite green yet, and but they're antsy. They really hope that spring will happen soon. Instead of just an afternoon event, we are changing it to make it, I hope, the annual CUUF Spring Luncheon, and it's all about hats. Sandy?
Well, wear a hat from your travels, and a story unravels. There. Or a whimsical hat with the face of a cat. Or a hat so debonair, worn with a flair. Or no hat at all, we will bring some to share.
For example, a garden party hat, or a pseudo-Western hat,
The last is the best.
a birding hat, or the very best is a fascinator. We'll have lots of hats that you can borrow, so please.
Please bid. We want to fill it up.
Well, we've learned about all kinds of opportunities, and there's one more which will engage you all in making a decision. We have a choice to make about a service in December. The choice is whether we will have our Christmas Eve service, and Christmas falls on a Wednesday. Christmas Eve would be Wednesday, December 24th, or if we would instead celebrate the winter solstice and have a longest night service, which would fall on the regular date of our service, which is Sunday the 21st. So I'm going to ask you by a show of hands.
That would be an evening service.
I'm getting there. Thank you. Both of these would have been evening services. So the one on the 21st would be, instead of having our normal Sunday morning service, we would have in the evening, we would have a winter solstice service. So let me give you a moment to reflect, because you're going to make a choice, and I have people who will be counting your show of hands. So those of you who would prefer to have a Christmas Eve candlelight service on Wednesday, December 24th, would you please raise your hands and keep them up? That's not an overwhelming majority, but hey, did the counters get the information? Oh, okay. Actually, I think visibly we could, is that a question? Okay, you can put your hands down. How many of you would like instead to do an evening winter solstice service on Wednesday the 21st? I'm sorry, Sunday, December 21st. Yes? Okay. Keep your hands up nice and high. Nice and high. Okay, well, all right. So the next question is, if we hold the service on the 21st, are you okay with canceling the morning service? If you are supporting canceling the morning service, would you raise your hands, please? No, that looks like a majority. Okay. Keep them up nice and high. Got the information? Okay, thank you very much. There is a final question, and this is just for general information because you have some time to make up your minds. Would you be willing to help with that service on the evening of the 21st, either with music, setting up, or readings during the service? So if you would, and you're not selling your soul, you're just kind of indicating anybody. Okay. All right. So there are a number of people. All right. Well, we've had a lot of business this morning, and we're going to move on to our land acknowledgement. And this is a really important thing. It has so much to do with the history of our region and of our country and our relations with our indigenous neighbors. We respectfully acknowledge that we live on the land of the Nisquosa Nation and other indigenous groups, not only in the Northwest, but throughout our entire continent. They have lived harmoniously with these lands and waters for countless generations before the onslaught of colonization. Like indigenous peoples across the Americas and most of the world, they experienced genocide, ethnic cleansing, theft of their land and waters, and forced removal. Our ability to live, work, and enjoy this area is connected to their deep loss. We ask all in our communities, including our governing bodies, to respect the Nisquosa and indigenous people and to learn the true history of the lands on which we reside. We resolve to work with our indigenous neighbors to build a shared, sustainable future for all. Okay.
Here in reverence now we gather for the blessings we have known, with a pledge to one another that we journey not alone. Joy and sorrow make us wise, kin to all that lives and dies. Love calls us on, love calls us on. Words and deeds of those before us, waken here to keep us strong. Blend our voices in the chorus of creation's living song. Courage bids us lift our eyes upward to the shining skies. Hope calls us on. Hope calls us on. Loyal guides in love and duty lead us with the trusted light. Blessed are they whose inward beauty shows the path of truth and right. Honor is their earthly prize. By their work we realize faith calls us on. Faith calls us on. We have shared a radiant hour when the truth has made us free, and the Spirit's gracious power dreamed of good that yet shall be. Bright the path before us lies. Joyful pilgrims now we rise. Life calls us on. Life calls us on. Life calls us on. Life calls us on.
may be seated. Call you to the spirit and the fact of worship. These words: yesterday, our distant ancestors gathered around a flame or fire to share stories, to seek truth, to find comfort. Tomorrow, our descendants will gather around a flame or a fire, talking of a life and dreaming of dreams that we will never know, to be inspired by memories of us and what we did. Today we gather here around a flame, seeking, embracing, and serving together in honor of the living results of all our ancestors.
All right, is it there for them or not?
Yeah, I've done yesterday. Do you want to go ahead and put up the candle lighting words? We now join in unison to share the candle lighting.
Okay. Yeah, there it is. As this flame, as an image of the light of truth, as a reminder of the warmth of community, as a symbol of the fire of commitment, may we all be value present in and between us during this sacred hour. Okay. And now it's time for our ages. Before I begin the story, I would like to explain something to you. The books that we choose are related to the theme of our presentation. And a lot of people who said, we wish we could see the pictures and the illustrations, but we are limited in how we can show those because of copyright laws. So about the only picture you can really see is the cover of the book, which, there it is, you can see it. The title of the book for today is We Are American Too. And the people in front can see the pictures well, and the people in the back can pretend that they can see the pictures. Okay, so here is the story. Today is a very special day. It is the day we honor my great-great-grandfather. He was the second American-born Chinese person in Washington, D.C. I draw on a large poster board, careful not to get marker on my hands. I color in the lantern with red. It means joy, luck, and happiness, my mom always tells me. My mom buttons her cheongsam. She only wears it for important occasions. And here, the yellow lady in the yellow dress is wearing a traditional, good shot, is wearing a traditional Chinese costume. Tell me the story again, Mom, I say. She clips my favorite for us to sing our children, and let me see. Yeah, I think we could, there's a good group here this morning. I think we could make an arch to sing our song for the children. To go to class with each other to find meaning in the spirit of love that we share. Now go with each other to find meaning in the spirit of love that we share.
And we take some time to affirm the fact that we are a community. It's one of the greatest things that we offer is connection and community, people that we can identify with, people who will help us. The act of sharing and honoring, and remembering is one of speaking our name and then speaking of something that we want to honor or remember, whether it's a source of sorrow in our lives or pain or worry, or a source of joy and pride and dignity. Then after saying our name and saying what it is that we are remembering or honoring, we can light a candle and place it in the sand up here. Remember that we try to keep our remarks brief. And there will be a time afterwards for silent lighting of candles as well. I wanted to honor that we have Barbara Flick is here representing the care team. Always the care team is here. And you can, where is Barbara right now? Right there. Barbara's there. And you can go up to her after the service if you need to share anything or communicate with me directly about needs that you may have. I wanted to mark the Jennings who need a ride to this congregation every Sunday. They'd love to have someone come, but they can't get someone every single Sunday. And we do have a way of signing up to help one another. Just emphasizing the fact that we're here to help one another in times of need. And the Jennings don't have a car anymore, so they need a regular ride. So I want you to go to our site or connect with one of the members of the care team and volunteer some Sunday to bring them here. Breathe in that space. Breathe in the fine sentiments of that song. Breath is always enlivening and centering and calming, and can be one of the most essential spiritual practices that we have. So I used to serve a congregation in which people needed to have their lunches at noon, and they expected the worship service to end exactly at 11:30, which means that I would be finishing my sermon right now, and then we would do the closing things. I'm going to go ahead with my sermon. I have things that I wanted to say. And if you have a need to leave at 11:30 or 11:45 or noon, feel welcome, glad that you are here. Go in peace. Like the author of We Are American Too, I loved seeing the picture of Kristen May Chase up there. And I read the story, and there's a little girl in the story it's kind of telling, and I assumed as an adult she's telling the story of her little girl self. But she was talking about her ancestors who were foreigners, who lived in this country as foreigners. And it reminded me of the fact that my mother was a foreigner. She was born in Vancouver, British Columbia. She was Canadian. As a result, when I was looking at colleges, I could have gone to a Canadian college. My mother's parents were both born in England, in Chester, England. And they came to this country, or they came to Canada as foreigners. And then my father, who was originally from Ohio and met my mother in Mexico and then married her in Denver, Colorado, and moved her there as a foreigner to America. My father's parents had both come from Radotin in Prague, near Prague, in what is now the Czech Republic. Back then was Austrian-Hungarian Empire before World War I. Life was difficult, and they decided to find something new possibilities in a new land. All my siblings were raised in Colorado. Me and my three siblings. It's all four of us. But we moved all over. My brother was down in New Mexico, living in New Mexico for a while. My youngest brother was a Peace Corps volunteer, went to Panama, and then eventually married his wife. But his wife was from Massachusetts. She didn't want to live in Massachusetts, so they moved all the way to Vermont. Some foreign land. It's on the other side of the continent. I don't know. And then my sister moved. She had moved to Oregon to go to college, and then she came up here. She met some young man and moved to Vashon Island, which I'd never heard of before. And she moved to Vashon Island, and she's still living on Vashon Island. And because she was here, then my daughter decided to move here. My other brother moved to Redmond. My second daughter first went to college in Pullman, did her graduate work in Pullman, came here. This moving around, and a lot of us kind of centered here, at least for the moment. And I always wondered, where did this desire, this openness to becoming foreigners, to moving to new lands. I have served in 6 different states in the United States. I have moved all over, and I'm always open to finding new friends and settling into a new place and finding the excitement of that place. And I always wondered, is that something that I just learned from the example of my ancestors? Or is that something that it's part of my genetic heritage, this willingness to seek new lands and find new homes and find new friends? Either way, I honor my ancestors. I feel proud of my ancestry. And I am proud that it's easy for me as a white male to say, we are Americans too. I live with both their blessings and the curses that come from their lives. I was thinking about this sermon, a seemingly random song came up in my mind this last week. It's by a British band named Jesus Jones. Way back in 1991, they wrote a song. They had gone to Romania, and they'd been a band for a while. And in 1990, they went to Romania, and that was right as the dictator Ceausescu fell. Ceausescu was known by Unitarians, and at that point, this is in 1990, so I was ordained in 1991. I was very aware of what was going on with the Unitarians in Romania. Ceausescu was trying to get rid of them. They were a minority. They were a Hungarian-speaking minority in this country, and he saw them as a threat to the unity and the strength of the new Romanian country that he had been leading since the 60s. He was eliminating villages. He flooded an entire village. He was forcing them out, forcing other people to come in and take over their farmlands, and then his entire regime fell. And this band, Jesus Jones, was in Romania when this happened. And they were also aware of perestroika, where Russia, that had been this great anti-European, anti-American force, was sort of in some ways opening itself to the world and reconnecting economically with the rest of the world instead of trying to compete against its enemies. And so they wrote this song with these lyrics: right here, right now, there is no place I'd rather be, right here, right now, watching the world wake up from history. The sermon is titled Living with Your Ancestors. We may or may not have actual ancestors living in our homes, but they are always with us. We need to honor that, both the curses and the sorrows and the griefs that they brought with them and still echo in our lives, but also the strength and the courage and the hope that they carried. We need to honor the heritage and the presence of our ancestors for good and for ill, for they are powerful. It's deeply, deeply a part of many cultures to take a moment, to take time, several times, a moment every day perhaps, to honor one's ancestors, to acknowledge their presence in our lives, even if we don't exactly like some of the things they did. One person said, living with your great-grandparents means that you always know where you are in the family tree. You're just a little sprout standing at the bottom. And there was an elder in one of my congregations. He said, I have to live with my grandchildren. I moved into the house with my grandchildren. And the one thing it makes me feel is that I'm so old that I can remember when the Dead Sea was only feeling kind of a little sick and worn out. I loved how Louise Buchanan honored young people and was always not complaining about their noise, but trying to affirm them and join into their lives and be a part of their lives. We live with a cultural heritage that has many parts and branches. We specifically chose the story. There's many stories about honoring your grandchildren that we could have done, or your grandparents or ancestors, but we chose this one about the Chinese woman, young Chinese American, because the legal barriers, as well as the social barriers to Asian Americans in this country has been virulent. It has been very strong. There are times where they were banned. Chinese people were banned from being able to step foot in this country. The racism of this country, the way in which we have structured the world and separated people out and decided that some are better or more like us than others, is anti-democratic, it's anti-American, and it is certainly not universalist. Our religious vision is to see the beauty and good in everyone, and to see that we are all, like the opening song, we are all one. What I know, they sang as they danced the dances of their ancestors. We are all one. Once I was in an anti-racism workshop. The person who was leading the workshop talked about how we, Americans, kidnapped people from their homes. We dragged them out of humanness into just being cattle in a ship's hold. We forced them to become slaves. He was saying these words. We forced them to lose their identity and their dignity and treated them as nothing more than property. We did this. And this one man raised his hand and he said, I didn't do any of those things. What are you saying? We did those. I've never owned a slave. He said, my ancestors were starving Irish people oppressed by the British who came over here. I didn't hold any slaves. But the fact is that we all live with the heritage of those who captured human beings and treated them as not human beings. We live with the ancestors who forgot that everyone deserves dignity and worth and inclusion and has beauty shining in them. We forget. We need to live with that. We need to accept that that's part of the world in which we are. And today we're taking money for the Indigenous Rights Rights and Reparations Foundation, because we know Indigenous people are often at the very bottom of the racialist ladder. It's funny when I think about racism, because there really are not things, objective things that you can measure called races. There are ethnic identities, and you'll find even, like the Han Chinese are different than, the other minority cultures that are in China. We all have this way of thinking about it's an ethnic, cultural construct. There's no genetic, it was horrible listening to the story about the DNA, discovery of DNA, Watson and Crick. And Watson, late in his life, was trying to argue that DNA made sure, our little robots are always here reminding us of things. Watson really believed that it was genes that caused African American people to be less smart and less accomplished. Not understanding that it's just a social construct that kept them in that place. It's just a set of ideas, cultural attitudes. It's a cultural heritage of this country to forget the very ideals on which we were founded and treat people differently. To live with your ancestors is to honor their strengths, seek blessing and support from their past, but it must be always tempered honoring. I once was in an anti-racism workshop in St. Louis. And there was an African-American man. And we got to a point where we were talking about racism in American culture. And he spoke about how as a child he had always felt so embarrassed that his ancestors were a bunch of slaves. His ancestors had lost wars and been forced into servitude, not paid for their work, but treated like cows and sheep, who we could probably treat better too, cows and sheep. But he was angry about it because it always made him feel bad. He'd have other people talk about their Irish or Italian or French heritage, and he would just feel like he was nothing. And then he began to listen to his grandfather. And he began to listen to his grandmother, who talked about their grandparents. And he realized the strength and the courage just to stay alive that those people had lived by. He realized that they had given him a heritage of, I'm going to live and I'm going to love and I'm going to have dignity and power and goodness in this world no matter what other people think. And that was his heritage from his ancestors, was to face the worst things you could possibly face and stand up tall and be successful. It was powerful to hear him taking his ancestors, honoring the fact that they had just survived, which is hard. So many people just gave up and died. To hear the honoring of his ancestors present. And he was saying, I'm an American too. And that's part of America. Seeking community, finding community, gaining liberation, gaining equal civil rights. The whole arc of my life has all been this progress in civil rights until maybe this last year, which I'm just constantly irritated at the fact that people are trying to get rid of diversity, the celebration of diversity, and think that equity means that they're supposed to feel bad about themselves, and inclusion means that they're going to have less. Instead of understanding that all of us, we are all one, we are all, like in the video he goes, we're all one fam. I can't quite say it the way he does it. But it's that acknowledgement that we're all one family and that all of us have our ancestors for one another. And then, ultimately, each of us will be the ancestors for someone else. In some way or another, they will look back and say, what were people like in Wenatchee way back in the 2020s? Right? What were those people like? What were they trying to do? What was it that inspired them? How did they spend their days and their life and their money? We will be the ancestors. And so right now, we think about our own ancestors. We think about what makes us proud and great and good. And then we call and evoke our own personal grandparents and great-grandparents and great-great-grandparents, the aunts and uncles from across time and across place. Be with us now, we say. Be a part of who I am now. And then we call on all those people who use the word Unitarian or Universalist, lay and ordained, who brought this faith tradition of hope and progress and possibilities of connection to the Pacific Northwest, to make it thrive on both sides of the Olympics. And we call on the founders of Cascade, those who are no longer alive, but are still with us vibrantly in this room, who 40 years ago dreamed and built this community into being. We call on the people who founded a city named Wenatchee, for the Piscosa people who had been named by the Yakima, especially all who believed in a community of diverse cultures and traditions, including the Piscosa. We call upon our activist ancestors who struggled for justice and freedom and liberation of all people. We call and honor upon all our ancestors, including the coyotes and the wolves and the ravens and the crows and the tall, towering pines of hundreds of sorts who have lived here for eons, blessed this land. May they still be present. May they bless us as we go forward. We're now going to listen to a song. It's a song about a 14-year-old girl. She's a Lakota woman who was in a high school basketball team. She was a amazing basketball player. And they were playing in the town of Lead, South Dakota, in front of a gym full of white folks. And the white folks began to scream and mock Native American tradition, Native American identity. They were screaming and overwhelming. When she came out, she heard them, she saw their faces. She just set her basketball down, and she used her sports jacket to do the shawl dance that she had been taught that her ancestors had danced. She turned that jacket into an honoring of her ancestors, and the entire crowd went silent. And you'll hear in the song how she says, I was the entire nation in that moment. They were there, and I was there. Please listen carefully.
The offering is an ancient element of worship. Giving regardless of the amount is a spiritual practice that expresses our thankfulness and generosity. Joyfully sharing our gifts and strength in service for the greater good is one way in which we create the beloved community. We live these values in abundance. And today we have a sharing of the plate, and Nancy Warner is going to come up and tell you about the organization and what good your offering will do.
Hi, I'm Nancy Warner, and I'm a member of the Social Justice Team. And this month's Share the Plate is for IRF. They go by their acronym for good reason when you see the long name. So as Mary Big Bull Lewis says, every day is IRF Day. And that's a good way to remember who they are. So their mission is to preserve history, cultures, traditions, and language through education and advocacy. So you can see that on the slide in front of you. They were founded in 2021, and Mary's been here a few times to talk to us, including during COVID when she was on Zoom with us. She couldn't be here today, unfortunately, and so I'm just going to tell you a little bit about IRF. Some of you know IRF, some of you don't, but there are many chances to get to know them better. So they were only founded in 2021, and they're an Indigenous-led team of grassroots organizers, practitioners, community builders, and strategists from diverse Indigenous nations. So they don't just represent the Piscosa. Their goal is to provide a space on ancestral homelands for members of all tribes to practice cultural traditions, ceremony, and fellowship. And so some of the pictures, I think you can see some pictures, they do things like they'll convene Huckleberry Camp, where elders will teach younger people traditional practices. Last year, they had a big Indian hemp symposium where they had people come from British Columbia and Washington, Oregon, Montana to basically participate in a workshop where they learned about ecological stewardship of the plant, how to strip fiber, how to weave with the fiber. So it was a really big, successful event. And then they do things like sponsor films and with the museum, and so I think a lot of you have participated that way. They show up at a lot of fairs, community outreach events. So their vision is to build relationships within our community that can help preserve Earth by recognizing the intrinsic value of all species and ecosystems, ensuring clean water and air, and returning human activity to a balanced, sustainable level. So we have an opportunity to produce meaningful change for today's Indigenous people, and the process of reparation begins through intentional acts, whether monetary or otherwise, that honor Indigenous people and the lands taken from them. So we know here at CUF, we've been searching for other ways to pursue reparation, and we have a land acknowledgement. We've been doing that for several years now, land acknowledgements. One way that you can support IRF today is obviously to share the plate, so financial contributions. And what they do with contributions from CUF and other fundraising they do throughout the year is they'll provide mileage, gas money, travel expenses for people that are coming from outside the area. So our contributions can help them bring tribal members and descendants together to learn. But there are other things that I asked Mary, what to pass on to everyone, knowing that we all want to get more involved. A lot of us do. She said just the simple things like follow their social media accounts, like Instagram, they post things, Facebook, and then sign up for their newsletter. you can go to their website and sign up for their newsletter, and they are going to be advertising some opportunities there coming up. Like, they are indigenous-led, so their board are all indigenous leaders that they're working on expanding right now. But she said there will be opportunities for non-indigenous people to participate in committees. So check out their website, and more information, you'll find more information there, and there'll be more updates on IRF as we go. But thank you.
If you're writing a check to support IRRF, just put share the plate in the line that tells what the purpose of the check is. All right, and now, yeah, you'll make the check out to Cuff, but in the information line, you'll indicate that it's for the share the plate. Okay, all right, then I think that we can begin the offertory. We are blessed by your generosity. May your gifts make a difference in our communities through the ministries of this church, and may our ministry to one another help our light grow. Thank you. And now, let's rise and sing our closing song, Turning of the World.
Good thing you all know this because it's at the very bottom of my range, so you might not be able to hear me. Let us sing this song for the turning of the world, that we may turn as one. With every voice, with every song, we will move this world along, and our lives will feel the echo of our truth. With every voice, with every song, we will move this world along. With every voice, with every song, we will move this world along, and our lives will feel the echo of our tune. Let us sing this song for the loving of the world, that we may love as one. With every voice, with every song, we will move this world along, and our lives will feel the echo of our love. With every voice, with every song, we will move this world every voice, with every song, we will move this world along. With every voice, with every song, we will move this world along, and our lives will feel the echo of our dream. And our lives will feel the echo of our dream. And our lives will feel the echo of our love. And our lives will feel the echo of our turning.
As we prepare to go from this hour and a half, and this place and these people, let our hearts be filled with loving and dreaming and turning. May we all feel the blessing of this community and of the deep power and spirit of love and life that's all around us and in us, and was in our ancestors, and that has lifted us to this moment and will go with us into the days to come. So may it be. And now as I extinguish the chalice, please join with me in saying the words on the screen. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts and embody in our lives until we are